Imagine you are hiking through the mountains of northeastern Turkey. Somewhere along the Black Sea coast, the air smells like pine and wet moss. You come across a small roadside stand run by an old man who is selling jars of honey. But this honey is different. It is darker than normal honey. It has a reddish tint, almost like liquid amber held up to firelight. He tells you to try just one spoonful, not two, never two. You laugh. It is honey. How dangerous could a spoonful of honey possibly be? 20 minutes later, you cannot stand up. Your vision is doubling. Your heart is beating so slowly you can count the seconds between beats. You are sweating through your shirt in freezing weather. Welcome to Science Curiosity, the oldest biological weapon in recorded history. To understand how a jar of honey can put a grown adult in the emergency room, we have to talk about a flower. Specifically, the rhododendron. In most of the world, rhododendrons are just decorative bushes. Pretty pink and purple blossoms in someone's garden. But in a handful of specific regions on Earth, mostly the Black Sea coast of Turkey and the mountainsides of Nepal, entire hillsides of wild rhododendron grow together in dense concentrations. And those flowers produce a compound called Grayanotoxin. Grayanotoxin is a diterpene, which is a fancy way of saying it is a large, ring-shaped molecule containing carbon and hydrogen and oxygen, but no nitrogen. There are 18 known variants of it, and it is toxic to almost every animal on Earth. Toxic to us, toxic to livestock, toxic to dogs, but not toxic to the honeybee. The bee happily crawls into the rhododendron flower, drinks the nectar, collects the pollen, flies back to the hive, and packs it all into wax cells. And a few weeks later, someone opens the hive and finds jars of honey that are chemically indistinguishable from regular honey. Same sugars, same color range, same taste, mostly, except for a slight bitter sharpness and a burning sensation in the throat, which is exactly what has earned mad honey its second name, bitter honey. Now, the effects. Grayanotoxin does something very specific in your body. It binds to a structure called the voltage-gated sodium channel. These are tiny protein gates that sit on the surface of every excitable cell you have. Your nerve cells, your muscle cells, your heart cells. Normally, these gates open briefly to let sodium ions rush in, which creates the electrical signal that fires the cell, and then they slam shut. That closing is what allows the cell to reset and fire again. Grayanotoxin walks up to those gates, wedges itself into them, and locks them in the open position. Sodium keeps flooding in. The cell cannot reset. The membrane cannot repolarize. And every excitable tissue in your body starts to misfire. Your heart slows down. Your blood pressure crashes. Your nerves fire when they should not, and stay silent when they should be firing. Your breathing gets shallow. Your salivary glands go into overdrive. Your pupils behave strangely. You get dizzy, then nauseated. Then you vomit. Then you cannot tell up from down. Your extremities go numb and tingly. Some patients hallucinate. Some seize. Some fall into what looks like a light coma, and the dose it takes to trigger all of this is almost embarrassingly small. According to case reports, 1 teaspoon of mad honey can put an adult in the emergency room. 15 to 30 grams, roughly the amount you would spread on a single piece of toast, is enough to cause full-blown clinical intoxication. Symptoms appear within 30 minutes to 4 hours. Now here's where the story gets weirder, because people have been using this on purpose for thousands of years. The first written record of mad honey dates back to 401 BC, when the Greek historian Xenophon was leading 10,000 Athenian soldiers back home after a failed military campaign in Persia. They marched through the Black Sea region. They found abandoned honeycombs along the trail. They ate the honey, and within hours, Xenophon writes, his entire army was rolling on the ground, vomiting, hallucinating, unable to stand. Every single soldier who tasted the honey became, in his words, like drunken madmen. It took days for the army to recover. And Xenophon, being an observant military commander, wrote it all down. Roughly 300 years later, another army made the same mistake. In 67 BC, the Roman general Pompey the Great was chasing King Mithridates of Pontus through the same region. Except this time, it was not an accident. Mithridates knew about the honey. He ordered his men to place jars of it deliberately along the invasion route. The Roman soldiers found the honey, ate it, and collapsed. Mithridates' army then walked in and killed roughly 1,000 of them where they lay. The very first documented use of a biological weapon in warfare was a jar of honey, and it did not stop being a weapon in ancient times. The Turkish government has, at various points, regulated its production. South Korea banned its import in 2005 after over 8,000 kilograms were shipped in from Nepal over the course of a single year, and people started showing up in emergency rooms in Seoul. So, why does anyone eat it at all? Because in small doses, and I want to be very careful with the word small, mad honey does things that people have wanted for centuries. It lowers blood pressure. That makes it attractive to people with hypertension. It appears to have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects, and most famously, it is used as an aphrodisiac. Now, the clinical picture. When a patient walks into an emergency room after eating mad honey, the doctors look for a very specific pattern. Bradycardia, meaning a heart rate that has crashed into the 40s or lower. Hypotension, meaning blood pressure that will not stabilize. Nausea and vomiting. Dizziness, blurred and double vision. Excessive sweating. Numbness in the fingers and toes. Sometimes fainting. Sometimes convulsions. The treatment is symptomatic. Doctors run intravenous saline. They inject atropine. And here's the part that is almost miraculous. Grayanotoxin has an incredibly short half-life. It is metabolized and excreted from your body within 24 hours. So by the next day, in almost every case, the patient is walking out of the hospital as if nothing happened. So think about what this substance actually is. It is a poison that is produced by a flower, transferred by a bee, harvested by humans, sold in jars, eaten intentionally for medicinal and other purposes, used as a weapon of war for over 2,000 years. It is one of the only toxins in the natural world with such a narrow therapeutic window that a single teaspoon can put you in the hospital, but the entire episode is over in less than 24 hours if you get to a doctor. It is the reason South Korea has import bans. It is the reason a Greek army once collapsed in the mud along the Black Sea coast. It is the reason a Roman general lost 1,000 soldiers without a single sword being drawn. There is something almost poetic about it. The sweetest substance on earth. Produced by an insect we associate with harmless summer afternoons. Turned into a chemical weapon by nothing more than the wrong flower blooming in the wrong valley. Somewhere on a hillside in Turkey right now, a beekeeper is opening a hive. And the honey inside might heal you. Or it might stop your heart. And the only difference between the two is a single spoonful. So the next time someone offers you a jar of dark red honey from the Black Sea, and they smile and tell you it is a delicacy, and they urge you to try just one spoonful, not two, never two, you will know exactly what they are handing you. If this rewired the way you think, subscribe to Science Curiosity. In next video, we're breaking down another organism doing something you were told was impossible.